Took me quite a while to turn on this recorder this evening. Probably sat here for a good 15 minutes and finally just said, okay, just turn the thing on and start talking. So, anyway, more on Israel and Palestine. It's really astounding to me. First of all, it's fascinating. And I feel bad saying that because it's horrible. And I'm sitting here in the safety of my home, thousands of miles away from the conflict. And so it feels a little impersonal, maybe a little sociopathic to say that it's fascinating. But it really is. I mean, I have to be honest. I found, I was talking with someone today, also Jewish, and he and I have talked before on the subject, and we were just talking about a whole bunch of things, but how people react to the situation to deal with it. And I was telling him that the way I've been dealing with it is to go into it, meaning to just learn as much as I can, to listen to other people who are learned on the subject, and it does not cease to amaze me, because I'm listening to people on both sides of the divide. There's a gentleman named Norm Finkelstein or Finkelstein. He's a professor. He is very much on the side of Palestine, although he is a Jew, but very much on the side of Palestine. Has spent basically his life, I believe, studying the Israel-Palestine conflict. Is very much pro-Palestine. Does not see Hamas as terrorists. Very much, well, I don't know if it's fair to say anti-Israel. It's not that I don't think that he thinks Israel shouldn't exist, but he's anti-Israeli policy. A lot of people would call him a self-hating Jew, which I think is a stupid, I hate that term. A lot of people would call me a self-hating Jew, so I guess, I don't know, maybe I'm being a hypocrite in saying that, but I don't think he is. But, I listened to him. I listened to it was like a 2-hour interview with him, and I'm like totally convinced of his side of things. Then I'll listen to Ben Shapiro, who's the polar opposite, whom he hates, by the way, and he says it in his interview. He calls Ben Shapiro basically an idiot, or a liar, or both. But yeah, Ben Shapiro is on the total opposite side of opinion, also a Jew, and I'll listen to Ben Shapiro and I'll be convinced by him. So it's just, because there's so many facts, and there's different ways to interpret. There are different angles to look at it from, and so this is why I say it's fascinating at the same time that it's horrible, because I'm actually enjoying learning about the history of this conflict and the different sides of it. And again, I'm hearing myself say this, that I'm enjoying learning about it. It's embarrassing. I'm being honest. I mean, it is how I feel. I wouldn't be enjoying it, obviously, if I lived in Palestine, or if I were one of the people who, had lost someone on October 7th in Israel. So, or if I were one of the hostages. So I'm also aware of that. I don't know if irony is the right word, but just of that kind of conundrum or just juxtaposition. But it is what it is. If you take the emotion out of it, if you have the luxury to take the emotion out of it, it actually is a very interesting thing to study, because it's so important and visceral. So, but basically, what I was saying to my friend this morning was that that's how I've been dealing with the situation, because otherwise I would be more depressed than I am, and I think I am to some extent depressed by it, because it's horrible. And I think certainly, previously in my life, the person I used to be, I probably would have just buried my head in the sand, or maybe, I don't know, adopted. I almost certainly would have chosen a side. Out of a feeling or a need for safety. And how I'm seeing myself deal with it now is just to go into it, to study it, to learn both sides, to take in as much information. And the more information I take in, the more I want to take in. I grow more and more interested in the subject. And not only am I taking in more information, but I'm also talking about my thoughts. So I'm putting out more information. And I think that that's important. We have to talk about it. We have to learn about it and talk about it, because I think there are a lot of people who won't do the work to learn anything about it, who will outsource their opinions and let others think for them. And I think that there are a lot of people who don't want you to talk about it. There are a lot of people who want you to choose a side, whether it's Palestine or whether it's Israel, and who will make you feel guilty for even questioning who's right, who's wrong. I mean, the truth is, I think everybody is both right and wrong all at once. Like, it's not just one way. So, and to not talk about it out of fear, out of shame, out of thinking I don't deserve an opinion, or there are other people who know better. That's the worst. That's basically that's tyranny. That's the forces of tyranny winning. We have to allow ourselves to think, to discuss, to question. It's not about being right or being safe. I mean, if we lived in a world where it was safe to have different thoughts, most of these conflicts probably wouldn't be happening in the first place. So we have to think and to discuss, at the very least with ourselves, and better yet with one another.